Right, so next on the agenda, Dutch, we're going to be talking about something very near and dear to my heart, something that has amused me greatly, Logan Paul versus Kevin Nash, a war of words. And Kevin Nash basically took aim at Logan Paul, calling him not one of the boys, and he was basically talking about how, do you remember last week we were discussing Hulk Hogan on Impulsive, and Logan Paul admitted he did not know the difference between a work and a shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kevin Nash said that Logan Paul was not one of the boys. Here's the quote.
He's not one of the boys. Where would he learn that shit at? Where's he going up and down the road talking our jargon? In the building? Everybody's in their own motor coach. There's no interaction. There's no socialization. You don't become one. You don't become one of the boys just because you're around them. That, from what I heard, he's making like $5 million for a limited, and those other are out there making house shows. You.
I got people messaging me. They're like, "Yo, Kevin Nash is talking shit about you." I said, "Damn. Who is Kevin Nash?" And I mean that. I'm unfamiliar with this guy, which I think is his problem. I'm not as versed in the WWE and in wrestling as maybe I should be, as my peers are. But then how am I so much better than all of them? You know, I don't have the answers to these questions. It is a question. I don't know how I could be the best in the WWE or at least one of the best. Like, I'm surely a top fiver, and I don't even do it full time. Now imagine if I did learn a little bit. Imagine if I devoted, came one of the boys, learned what the difference between a shoot and a work was. Will that make me a champion? Me? You. You're one of the old guys who is bitter that I am better at your job than you ever were. And that makes you pathetic. This will be my sport, and I will continue to make guys like you eat your words when I devote a little bit of time to it. So fuck me, fuck you.
Well, I think Kevin Nash picked the wrong battle to enter into here with Logan Paul, because Logan Paul is so well known across social media than Kevin Nash or me could ever hope to be. And just because he doesn't know a term, and even if he did know the term, I think Kevin, it sounds like to me, he's jealous that he's making so much money and not making any live events other than the pay-per-views and the TVs. So that's not for anybody else to say. And I wish Kevin really hadn't said that, because it does make him look jealous and envious. And it, I think, paints him in a bad light when he's saying that he doesn't know the business. And Logan Paul came back and he says, so a shoot and a work, so what? I don't know the meaning of those. But he has taught himself how to do certain things. And I'm amazed at how much Logan Paul has learned. This, what, 2 years or 3?
No, about that. Yeah, 2 years.
Okay, 2 years, or how much he's learned. But you can tell that he is an athlete at heart. And when he did that dive off the top turnbuckle to that table, I'm thinking, wow. I wouldn't even think about doing that. And I've been in the business for how long I was in, but I would never do that. So, but he's making money, and he's not, it's a business with Logan Paul. And when he talks about everybody pulling up into motor coaches, you know, the big buses, well, that's the way they travel now, because they're making that type of money. Even when they had the motor coaches going, you know who never had a motor coach?
Go on.
Kane. Kane never had one. He drove a little bit of a cheap rental car, and always did. And I don't know if Stone Cold had one either. May have been a little bit before his time.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I think this makes Kevin and I like Kevin a lot. And I wish he hadn't tried to pick this battle. But in so doing, he may be smarter than what I'm giving him credit for, because he knows he's going to get hits. He's going to get hits, and it's going to go viral. And, there's money to be made there. But I don't know. Logan Paul came a long way in a short amount of time. But see, he's a businessman too. He's not strictly a wrestler. He owns another, a whole lot of other stuff, the prime time, the drink he pushes and all this. So his mind is not completely based on wrestling. So he took it over as almost a side hobby, really. And he's done very well with it.
Kevin Nash is the wrong messenger for this, surely.
Well, when he's talking about Kevin Nash played college basketball, and he was an athlete, but he never did the moves that Logan Paul did. Never, because first of all, he's 6'9" or 6'10" or whatever he is. Those guys don't do moves like that. So, and I guess the times have gone by. The days of making those little crappy shows are over. I just read today where WWE is going to cut back their touring schedule from 300 to 250. So if you figure, dates.
No. Days. WWE aren't doing anything like that now, and they're cutting back further. Pretty much getting rid of all house shows.
They're going to cut them back from
including
300.
NXT. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah. They're going to cut them back from 300 to 250, and then 2026, I think they're going to go back to 200. So basically, they're going back to pay-per-views and TV. That's all they're going to do.
I want to pick up on something you said before. Then you said, well, maybe, the whole checkers and chess thing, maybe Logan Paul and Nash have got something worked out. I sort of doubt there's anything worked out there, but Logan Paul's sort of given Nash, in wrestling parlance, the rub. And, it might be good for his podcast or whatever. But ultimately, I mean, all that's happened is Logan Paul has just absolutely decimated Nash with facts for the most part.
That's why I said he picked the wrong battle.
But there's no win for Nash here, because he might get a cursory, bump in views or whatever, and then people will move on because there's nothing to latch onto other than, well, Paul might be right there, and then just move on to the next thing.
Well, Paul comes off as a braggart, but he can do that. He's a heel. That's why I'm better than everybody else in the WWE, and I picked it up. And we brought this up before here, that Eddie Graham, old-time promoter and booker, he told you guys years ago, and I heard him tell them this, it takes 5 years to pick up this business. And it's almost true now. That's why they keep NXT guys so long, so they can pick up as much as they can. I think they hold on them too long because if you've had 2 years of wrestling training, you need to be working somewhere. It don't take you that long to learn it. But Logan Paul came along with a plan, with a business plan that he presented to WWE and said, hey, let's get started in this and see what happens. And it's worked. And it's worked for WWE and it's worked for Logan Paul.
So Logan Paul says, I'm the best in WWE, but at least I'm a top fiver. In your opinion, of all the workers in WWE, all the wrestlers in WWE, is Logan Paul in the top 5?
Well, he's in the top 10 without even thinking. I'd have to, you gotta see where they're using him. But right now, he's not on TV, but he's coming back. So they have to think highly of Logan Paul to put him in that position. And they've had him do like high profile matches. So when he goes in there against who was his latest opponent?
Oh, for God's sake, I can't remember. Do you want me to pause and find out, or?
No, he was a member of the Shield. Seth Rollins.
There we go.
That's what I was thinking about. To hang with him, he's got to be he had to pick it up pretty quick. And he's picking it up, of course, by working with Seth and sitting with Seth and having matches with him. And that's what it takes. I think he's adapted well to the professional wrestling business.
Seth was a bit beforehand. LA Knight was last. SummerSlam.
Okay, LA Knight then, but I think Seth knows more about the business than Mr. Knight does.
So, bitter that I am better. So, is this Kevin Nash being bitter? Because he's also mentioned CM Punk recently, where he was like, well, I had a triceps tear and I had to be back the next month. And it was like, well, how dare CM Punk rehab an injury properly?
Well, first of all, the company has changed totally.
Well, everything's changed since 25 years ago, whatever.
Well, just from the two years ago, the ownership has changed. The outlook has changed. The TV outlook has changed. Everything else, now they're more of an international company than they've ever been. They did shows in France. They did it in the UK and Australia,
Germany,
and Germany and Ireland, and so they're an international company. And you don't go there in 2 hours. But if you go to Germany to wrestle, you got to leave 2 days ahead of the event, and then you're going to leave the day after or the 2 days after. So you're going to spend about 4 or 5 days in Germany or in any international port you want to pick. But things have changed, and he said they're paying him like how much are they paying him?
$5 million, but like apparently the entry level contract for a main roster talent now is $350,000 a year. You still have to pay your own hotels and feed yourself and stuff like that, but there's so few house shows these days that you basically get to keep the vast majority of it, before tax, of course. So that being said, I mean, you were in WWE up until the end of 2015 or early 2016, whenever you were let go, and you were making whatever it is you were making. I know it was 6 figures. The business had changed since you were in the last in WWF in the mid 90s. I mean, do you begrudge these people from making millions a year? I mean, why would you?
Nope, I don't. Make as much money as you can, as quick as you can, and then when you get out, start your business, get you another a line of employment, or how to make a few bucks, write a book, do this, do that. Because we've all had to do that, because my money from wrestling has run out years ago. I mean, whatever, I had saved up for a rainy day. Well, yeah, I had to live on it. But you got to get through whatever is right ahead of you. And it ran out years ago.
I brought up CM Punk before,
and that's what I want to talk to you about, James. I need a little bump and compensation. Oh, I'm sorry here.
Wrong time you're here to be asking for it.
Oh, okay. You're gonna have a baby. Okay.
Oh God, yeah. So just because I mentioned CM Punk as well, he was complaining about CM Punk because he was making millions and he was off rehabbing, but even though he was on TV and WWE, you were actually getting value out of him. And then also keep in mind that Kevin Nash, was one of the first people to get a huge contract. He jumped from WWF to WCW. He had less dates, was making more money. He managed to bend Scott Hall, bend WCW over when they didn't sign into a hard contract, and he got like another $400,000 a year out of him. So it's not like, he's made a lot of money. He's quite famous for not turning up to WCW house shows later on because he could get away with it. He's very famous for turning up to TNA and just sitting in catering or doing backstage vignettes while making hundreds of thousands a year. He is not the messenger to be complaining about people making money for little. He is the king of that of the last 25 years, surely.
Well, I'm sure that if Logan Paul had been more of a student of the business than what Kevin Nash accused him of being, he would know all these things about Kevin Nash and could turn around and use it on him, which I don't know. I don't want to involve myself in stuff like that. I think Kevin is pissed off that this guy's making all this money, but he's not paying Paul. He's not going in his pocket for any money to pay Logan Paul. So, and to me, this came out of the blue. I don't know where it came out of. I think that did Logan Paul say something first?
No, Kevin Nash just said it. And then Logan Paul,
Ke-
for whatever
Kevin
reason,
Nash.
actually responded to it. So,
And well,
the thing is, he was crapping on LA Knight as well, and it's like, well, why? LA Knight's doing really well. He's doing the best stuff of his career, and Debbie Downer there was trying to shit on his parade.
Well,
there you go. But anyway, okay, in all seriousness, who do you think is genuinely, this is actually a very interesting question. Who is the better all-round pro wrestler, Kevin Nash or Logan Paul? Because keep in mind, Kevin Nash has done thousands of matches, I'm sure, travelled the roads, had to learn to adapt to, the crowd reaction, etc. Logan Paul is far more athletic. He's only done like 18 matches in his entire life. He practices, 15. He practices these matches for weeks beforehand, but on average, I suggest more entertaining. Who's the better worker? Who's the better pro wrestler?
well, who do you think? Who do you really seriously? I don't think this is a hard question, but who do you think is the better pro wrestler in the ring overall?
What
Not
criteria?
the moves.
What criteria are you using though?
Okay, just use crowd response and interviews.
Okay,
You gotta look at it as a whole. And I hate to say this, but Logan Paul is a better performer than Kevin Nash. Even though Kevin Nash was a college basketball player and was very athletic in his prime, and I brought this up before, he's not going to do the moves that Logan Paul would do. And I think he got into business. I forgot how he told me how he got into business, and he learned by trial by fire. I don't think he went to a training course or anything. He learned as he was like OJT training, on the job training, OTJ, on the job training, and that's how he learned it. Logan Paul, as what you just said, he has worked for weeks on one match. So he's got it set down to what he needs to do, and he's taking tips from, and he's got a crowd reaction when he goes out there. They're used to seeing him on social media and all those video clips he and his brother used to do. I mean, they had a huge following before WWE, and so they just brought that with them. So I mean, it's not that he was dying to make money. He was making money, but he wants to go and he wants to be a wrestler, and he has improved more in 2 years than most guys do in 5.